So a Combat Patrol box disappears from the Games Workshop web store. Games Workshop announced a brief warehouse shutdown. The next 40k reveals may be announced, and some other box sets have been going in and out of stock. Let's talk through a big roundup of the Warhammer 40k news. Hello and welcome back to Warsbets Tactics, where today I thought I'd do a quick roundup of a fair few Warhammer 40k things. A couple of sites of news and releases on the horizon, a couple of things going away from the Games Workshop web store, the return of a few sold out Battleforce boxes in the UK, and a few other bits and bobs. Starting out, and just a quick heads up to any folks in the UK who missed out on the Stomper Boys and the Auric Champions Battleforce box sets, it looks like they're temporarily back in stock in Element Games. Not sure what the reason is for them suddenly coming back a couple of weeks later, but it looks like Element Games at time of recording is listing 10 plus available of each of them, though they are sold at the full price at £130, so no discount here versus the Warhammer web store when they were first on sale, unfortunately. Most of the same kits going on sale for Games Workshop. They do offer some fairly decent discounts, around about 40% or so, which is better than normal for GW offerings. Usually they tend to have around about 20 to 30% discount on the combat patrols these days. I'd say both the box sets are usable enough. The Stomper Boys one seemed to be the one that was more in demand out of the two. The Auric Champions maybe was a little bit eclipsed by the Combat Patrol, which I'd say is a very similar or better kit really. It does depend on which miniatures you want out of any of them though. The Stomper Boys one is obviously dependent on wanting the Stomper, the Custodians one is probably dependent on wanting those 6 Virtus Praetors. The box set does maybe feel just a little bit bike heavy. In any case, I'll leave them links down in the video description. If you have missed out on those and still wanted a copy, that one like the rest is an affiliate link and does go to help support the channel a bit on any Warhammer purchases made through it. Otherwise though, talking of box sets, I noticed that the Chaos Space Marine Combat Patroller got taken down from the Games Workshop web store earlier this week. The one that got removed was the one with the Hellbrute, Havocs, and a standard rank and file Chaos Space Marine kit, along with the Dark Apostle. This could be an early teaser that we're going to be getting Codex Chaos Space Marines announced at the weekend, along with those big battle forces going up for sale. I believe that when we had the Custodians and the Orcs combat patrols taken down, it was their releases the very next week, but that's not to say that's absolutely definite from Games Workshop for the Chaos one. It might be that they have a little bit of a lead time between this going down and the release coming out though. We do know that the box sets are coming in the not too distant future though. They are billed for spring after all. Alongside those big Battleforce box sets, we already know the contents of the new and upcoming Chaos Combat Patrol that replaces it, a Master of Possession, 5 Possessed, 10 Legionaries and 10 Cultists, really quite central units to the army for the most part I think, and quite nice that the Master of Possession goes with the Possessed so you get a leader and the squad. Like many of the combat patrols in 10th edition, it does look like the discount is slightly lower and there's slightly fewer points in the box set. They're not really enormously different. I guess I'd be weighing this one up against the Battleforce box sets, the Veterans of the Long War and the Dread Talons. I feel like it's a nice enough one if you're jumping into the faction, though I'll be interested to hear whether or not you think it's better than the old one. Otherwise, we might well have a date for the next reveal show for Warhammer 40k. Games Workshop is doing their World Champions Tournament series again, as they announced earlier in the year. The idea that you have a whole load of events to qualify for it, and then the winners can play at their grand tournament in November. They published a list the other day of all the different events that you can use to try and qualify for the final one if you want to. Perhaps of more interest to the majority of people, though, are the fact that these tournaments often come with new reveal shows for various models. Looks like the next one's billed for the Dallas Open Texas one. That'll be 16th to the 19th of May, so it seems like there's a pretty reasonable chance they'll announce that the next reveal show might well be coming then. I wouldn't be too surprised if we find out about that sometime maybe on Monday or Tuesday, depending on how they're doing things. They often give a 1 or 2 week lead time. In a short article over the last 24 hours, Games Workshop announced their warehouses would be temporarily shutting down for a week at the end of May to the start of June. The article style maybe felt a little bit out of place characteristically for the other Warhammer community type articles. Usually they tend to go into a little bit more discussion as to the reasons behind things and give a few thoughts, feelings or teasers about stuff. I guess this one's just a fairly technical announcement just to try and set people's expectations for longer shipping times around there. I guess they don't really want to say anything that might be construed as them having problems or whatever. Games Workshop definitely have had quite a few issues with logistics and things over the past few years. There have been things like the Warhammer pre-order times being increased from 1 week to 2 weeks, and a fair few times where various releases have been delayed a bit. That's not necessarily the case of what's happening now though. Reading the big Reddit thread that spawned from this one, they suggested that it might just be that they're doing an annual stock take or an audit. That seems kind of reasonable to make sure that their actual stock tallies with their computer system type things. Though I did like the idea that they're just shutting down for an employee game of 5 million points aside with their inventory. This one did quite amuse me as I scrolled through as well. Apparently, this is the stock YouTube reaction to Games Workshop warehouse closers in a small article like this. I think I certainly need to up my thumbnail game there. Full credit to Dreamlord Degenerate for that little masterpiece on Reddit. Otherwise, a small correction on the Tau combat patrols I hadn't realised when I talked about it last. Not the biggest thing in the world, but it looks like there's a little bit more models in the box set than I'd originally thought. Looks like the Pathfinder set in here does indeed come with the Kill Team upgrade sprue, the one with the EMP grenade launchers, and a few other bits and bobs. I'd originally thought that it probably wouldn't, like the outgoing Chaos Space Marine one that didn't come with the Legionary box set bits. So I guess that's nice enough. It is useful to have that extra weapon sprue in here, as I do get that grenade launcher for free. It's not the most impactful sprue in the world, at least in terms of game-changing equipment or anything like that, but not the worst if you did want to use the Pathfinders for games of actual kill team potentially, and a few other cool custom bits aren't the worst, and I had reported that wrong previously, so I thought I'd correct here. Otherwise, for a minor casualty of the Games Workshop Webstore that I think I must have missed at the time, it looks like Games Workshop have removed the jump pack sets that they had in their store for a really long time. I want to say this one had been around for about 20 years-ish. A sprue consisting of 5 different jump packs to combine with other Space Marines and things, perhaps the idea for equipping jump pack characters. And it was one of the reasons that Games Workshop had kept a bunch of jump pack characters around in the rules for a fair amount of time, as they've been removing lots of characters with no model, no rules, but technically they did have the option to buy a character and then buy the jump pack to stick on the back of them, so they had kept them around on, say, the old Firstborn Captain datasheet until the big Firstborn removal at the start of 10th edition. I believe that these were still on the Webstore at the time of the Space Marine Codex being announced, as people were talking about using them to kit bash with assault intercessors. That way you could get some jump intercessors for a lot cheaper than otherwise. Seems though that Games Workshop might have wised up to the fact that they might have been undermining their sales a bit here. They do seem to have been struck down, unfortunately. I guess they do very much feel like really quite a relic of the old Firstborn range, as opposed to anything particularly contemporary at this point. Finally, as mentioned earlier in the week, this week's pre-orders are Legions Imperialis and that new White Dwarf miniature. For Legions Imperialis, there's Stormhammers, Malcadors, and Dracosans for the Solar Auxilia, and Sicarans, Legion Fast Attack and the Dreadnought drop pods for the Astartes forces, so another good chunk of the whole Heresy range, but made in small. Otherwise, there's that White Dwarf, Old World Made to Order Orcs and Goblins, and an Osgiliath terrain set going up for the Middle-earth strategy battle game. As ever, if you were looking to pre-order any of that, feel free to check out the links in the video description. The pre-orders should be going live at least fairly soon now, usually midnight between Friday and Saturday in Canada and the USA. They should probably be already out in Australia and Gap Games, and then it's usually 10 AM in the UK for Element Games. Can be a way to get them at a discount and support the channel a little bit. There are plenty of other discount retailers out there, of course, as well. In any case, hope you've enjoyed a quick summary of the Warhammer news over the past few days or so. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Are we going to be getting Chaos next week? And do you think the next reveal show will be for the Dallas Open in their tournament calendar? If you'd like to keep up with Games Workshop's news and releases, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics. I'll certainly keep the regular 40k videos coming. I do tend to post new ones just about every day. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page as well, and you can find that linked in the video description if you'd like to help support and keep these videos coming. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with the chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.